Okay, I'll call the IDA meeting for this Thursday, February 13th to order. And we'll do the roll call to establish a quorum.
I can start.
Okay,
Robin Marshall with the IDA.
Jennifer Tishka, IDA staff.
Jim Pierce, IDA staff.
Jim Rutowski, IDA board.
Becky Ryan, IDA board.
Nicole Hastings, IDA board.
Joe Wazowski, IDA board.
Kevin Zanner, IDA counsel.
Scott Gardner, IDA staff.
And we do have a quorum. So we'll start out with the administrative to review and approve the minutes from January 16th, 2025. And are there any questions, corrections, or additions for the minutes? Minutes will go over.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Thank you. Mr. Wazowski, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll review and approve the financial reports from January 2025.
Yes, we started out the month with $508,844 in cash on hand and $1,085,581 in CDs, invested funds. We brought in some interest earned on CDs and collected accounts receivable of some interest that was due before. And then other receipts, you'll see the Orangeville Energy Storage, the Noble AES and the Bliss and the Noble AES Weathersfield. They all paid their pilot payments as they're supposed to this time of year. So we show that as coming in as receipts. We had our normal monthly expenses. Nothing out of the ordinary there. And then you show our other disbursements. You'll see that we did pay out Noble Bliss and Noble Weathersfield. Orangeville Energy pilot came in at the very last day of January, so that'll show up as going out in February. We ended up the month with $505,852 cash on hand and $1,902,839 in invested funds. Over on the back is the budget. Of course, it's the first month of the year, so there isn't too much to report here other than our normal expenses for that month. Any questions?
These Tompkins Bank CDs, they're all 90-day CDs as of the replacement.
Not all of them are 90, are they? We have some
We try
60.
to stagger them, so sometimes they're 3 months, sometimes they're 6 months, sometimes we'll look at a year.
That's good enough thing. Just a question.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We go on to number 3, to review, approved amendment and approved amended resolution for the Alley Cat Wind Project. We'll discuss the request for the IDA to be paid in 1/3 increments over 3 years.
Yeah, in your board packet is a memo that came from the developers council. One of the challenges we had with this project was getting them to clearly identify what tax parcels we were working with. And now we have a final list you can see it's attached to this letter as well. And then, so we need final approval for those tax parcels, but we also have been asked by them to consider an installment fee payment to the IDA. Back in November, they paid us 20% of the fee, which is required by our policy. What they are proposing is to pay us over a 3-year installment period. And then they're also proposing, by the way, to do this in the other 2 counties where this wind project is, both Allegheny and Cattaraugus. So what they want to do is at closing, which they hope will be maybe as soon as next week. So they claim that they would pay us a remainder of our fee to get us up to the first 1/3 installment. And then there would be 2 more installment payments after that. So I think what we're looking for from the board is just final approval. They're in the report packet. Council has prepared a not one, but two, but third amendment resolution to Alley-Cat. Basically just noting the proper changes for the tax parcels and the payment schedule. So I guess we're looking for the board to make some action on the mandatory resolution.
We'll receive 20% and then 1/3 of the balance.
Say that again?
We receive 20% and then 1/3 of the balance.
Yeah, we've got 20% now. They're gonna get us up to 1/3 of the
Correct.
total fee, and then they'll pay us over the next 2 years.
Is this a common happening at other IDAs? Did you see?
I think on these very large deals, Jim, that you do see some spreading of the fee.
Yeah.
I think
On our
that's-
past,
I was
on our
gonna say,
past
Robin,
wind fees, we
yeah.
spread it over 5 years. Of course, they were larger projects and
Mhm.
it was a considerable amount of money, but we did do over 5 years of those.
I think we talked last time about needing a public hearing or something. That's not yet.
We determined that we did not need that
Okay.
after they had did some adjustments on the tax parcels.
That is addressed in the letter. The
Okay.
second paragraph says for absence of doubt, parcels previously discussed that were in different towns and school districts are not part of the mortgage or IDA transactions. So that we didn't have to do a public hearing for
Okay.
Yeah, so Nicole, what happened there is last time we were talking about this, they had identified some tax parcels that were not in Arcade.
Yeah.
And we had not done a public hearing in that jurisdiction. And that's where that discussion came from. So they subsequently told us, oh, no, that's not what we meant. And so that's
So
why.
they don't need those.
So we don't need to do that process, and that those parcels were excluded from the final list that's in front of you now.
Okay.
Everything is with the with Arcade and the Pioneer School District, and before there was some question on that.
Yeah, I would mention, since the last board meeting, we did, as required, send out deviation notices.
Mhm.
So that the taxing jurisdictions are well aware of these changes coming. So,
That's right.
Does this affect them at all?
no,
It's just our payment.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion. And a second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Jim, one of your executive directors?
yeah, just a couple quick updates. We just met a couple weeks ago, it seems like. But Robin and I did sit down with the people that had acquired the Bennington Delaware River Solar Project, the one that the board approved back in February of 2020. They are working through the process of getting that thing resurrected, if you will. And so they're working on getting us some new capital expenditure numbers, which will require us to seek out authorization for a public hearing when they get their numbers put together. That project, as you may recall, is a 20 megawatt project, not a huge one. It's community solar. So, but they claim that everything is moving forward with that. So just wanted to let you know about that one. I also sat down with the folks from AES regarding the second portion of their Repower Wind project, which is the town of Weathersfield. There were some representatives from the town of Weathersfield, as well as the supervisor for the town of Eagle was there as well. But they kind of gave an overview of the Weathersfield project, which is interesting because they're going from demolishing a total of 84 existing wind turbines in Weathersfield and going down to 20 to 33 new turbines. So there's a huge drop off of number of turbines, but yet they're gonna produce more power than what they are producing now. So the number of new turbines are based on what company they use to buy the turbines from, because there are various size generators for each of these turbines. Some as large as 6.2 megawatt per unit. So right now they're about 2, I think, megawatts. So anyways, they've started the state approval process for that project, and so that one will be coming into the IDA as well for some assistance. But to date, we have not received any IDA application for assistance for either project from AES. But they are both in progress. I'm still working with the owner of the motel here in Warsaw about a second location over in Arcade. They're busy working on a CFA for a grant on that. I talked to Empire State Development yesterday, and it looks like they're going to get in the application before the end of March, which is the deadline. So that one's looking pretty good at this point. And then I worked with, I'm still working with Prestola Electric. They're talking about doing some knockdown and rebuild of some of their facilities. Some of their buildings are really old, and they want to replace them, become more efficient. One of the things they talked about was using rail service, and the Arcade and Attica Railroad runs right behind their building. So I talked with the general manager of the Arcade and Attica Railroad. We explored some ideas about either a siding or Prestola Lake could currently use what they have as a dock system where they could, if they wanted to try shipping by rail, they could do that now and ship in and ship out. And so they are going to be thinking about that, and then we'll continue to work with them as they move forward. And then yesterday I met with a manufacturer that makes wood mulch and compost. They are, I brought the gentleman in from Empire State Development. They have a large contract with the Scott's fertilizer company. They do a lot of business with the facility in Virgin. They have purchased another property and would like to move their whole operation there and expand it. So we'll create another 7 to 10 jobs and another $4 million in capital investment will be done. So just a couple things that we worked on since our last meeting. Just some quick things on the business center that we administer. We closed on a small loan for the restaurant on Water Street in Pike. It's going to be called Stooney's Countryside Diner. I'm not sure how catchy that Stooney's is going to be, but everyone knows what a diner is. Just a young guy. He lives in Gainesville, 24 years old, very ambitious. He's got some background in the food industry, and so we're hopefully optimistic he'll make a good go of that. And then we also approved a loan for what's called Raise the Bar Woodworks in Strikersville. They make outside and inside signs of various materials, primarily wood. You may remember his name, Parker Bray, because he was one of our recipients of the Micro Enterprise Grant as well for his other business, which was called Maker Movement, where he's making these little kits of learning hand skills and stuff for homeschool kids and things of that nature. So he's a very ambitious guy, and he needed a little bit of money to get the sign business off the ground a little faster, and so we helped him out with that. And then quickly, the Fast Track program is open for registrations. You know, if anybody wants to get into that, I think we're half filled up now already, right?
Oh, yeah, we're 6.
We're up to 6. We only take 10, and we lock it down. And the reason we keep the numbers down is because we encourage everyone to bring somebody with them, because nobody goes into business by themselves. And the second person gets to come in for free. So that's my report.
This is the new high productive wind turbines coming in. All these other existing ones staying, or some of them going to be taken out?
They're eventually all going to go.
How are people responding to losing their potential income stream?
I don't know about the individual landowners. haven't been privy to any of those findings or anything, but the community host agreement is gonna be brand new, so that the town will still benefit and be able to share all those things with the residents as well.
That's another question, because I think some of these were like 20-year contracts.
Right.
And how is it, I would love to see them, your question, how is a contract written?
It's been, how long have they been in place? It's gotta be.
They're actually 16 years old. They were on a 15-year pilot with a automatic 5-year renewable, so they're still under a pilot. I don't know how the land contracts were written. We never see those, or we're not privy to those.
Years ago, I went through that. I don't think it was time, but what if they were to take out, all the concrete needs to come out. They said if that happened, they didn't want to do that. They said we'd take out up to 3 foot. Give me a break. I said, well, it all comes out, or there's not much discussion left. There's a lot of concrete in there. He said, well, you don't need it all come out. Well, if you get a good rain, and you still got a heck of a pile of concrete, I mean, you won't work that ground for a long time. I've farmed all my life. That created quite an issue for a short time. So that's my question. When they write a contract, you want to have your head on straight.
Good point.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Any other business?
No.
Okay. Our next meeting is March 13th. At 2:30.
Yes, there will be a visit from our auditor for that.
Okay.
Excuse me, get a green
It's
eggs.
the same time of the year.
Can you bring eggs and rotten tomatoes?
Eggs
We
are
can't
very
afford eggs.
expensive.
Oh, not eggs.
Yes,
Right,
yes. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Can you do that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
We need the motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. How do you do?
Just a second for Scott.
Yeah.